Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the channel. Another beautiful day here on the homestead, although it's a very windy one. The wind kicked up last night. It seemed to kick me out of the bed. Heard a big clash and a boom and kind of pressure change, and I'm like, what was that? And so I got up, looked out the window, couldn't see outside, so I looked at the weather station, and it showed 35-mile-an-hour winds, and at one point within the last 10 minutes, we had gusts at 65 miles an hour, which is pretty excessive. Had no idea it was supposed to happen. Then I got on my phone on the weather app, and sure enough, I had like 6 or 7 alerts regarding high wind warnings and fire alerts. And I'm like, wow. And it said winds in excess of 75 miles an hour. So basically, they were saying that winds will hit 75 miles an hour, but could go higher than 75 miles an hour. That's pretty impressive. Came home this morning from going to town, and I was watching this flock of geese. I got a video I'll put in here in the end. This flock of geese they were flying across, probably 10, 15 foot off the ground, just sitting there. Definitely not hovering on purpose, but they were trying to get through the wind. And you could tell they took up, got some free air, and they were able to move to the west. But yeah, they're pretty low to the ground, trying to get, to where they needed to go, riding the wind currents, and they weren't having it very well. Very not in formation. That's what it was, I guess you could say. Not in formation. Anyways, back to the point of this video. So one of my goals this year on the channel is to become less political. Now, I said on the channel because I'm a very political person. I talk about politics quite often. I don't let it run my life, but what I do is I acknowledge that politics is there. And a lot of people don't want to know that. There's people who let politics take their life over, and that's all I do is talk politics. And then there's people who just want to take and look straight, don't look right, don't look left. I'm not, whatever it be. Politics is, put their blinders on, put their plugs in, not hear anything, not see anything, and go about it. I'm more like in the middle right there. Obviously, one of my goals this year is to become more self-sustaining, more self-reliant on the property, in my daily life. But I acknowledge that politics is still there. It always will be. Politics has been a thing for hundreds and hundreds of years. And geez, it's hard to not, acknowledge that politics has played a daily part, but a lot of people won't. So, in one of my recent videos, I was in the garden, I was in the tractor, I was turning over the garden, I was talking about providing for my family, and one of my goals this year is to obviously get the garden in, provide fresh food for my family and my friends, and potentially the community. And within that video, I talked about fuel prices locally going up 20-some cents since October. And I said that politics or food costs, fuel costs, and many other things in our daily life follow the events of politics, especially Washington. Well, the day I shot that video was the day that Georgia voted. The day that I posted that video, the day after, I went to town, fuel jumped 25 cents. So gasoline right now is now $2.25, whereas in October, actually no, it's September, like the middle of September, it was $1.80 a gallon. A lot of people will say politics has nothing to do with it. Some people will say, well, there's no way politics has, anything to do with it up to the real time. Well, it may not, but it definitely has an effect on it within, 2-3 weeks to a month later. I understand the price of oil and how it fluctuates, but politics plays a big part of that. It just happened to be that the day that Georgia voted for 2 seats that could either make it or break it for our country, well, gasoline jumped 25 cents locally. Which reminds me, I still need to go to town, and I need to get more diesel and more gasoline to be put back and in storage for current times. Now, the point of this video, I want to talk to you guys about something, and it's true, and a lot of people might be upset about it, probably not my viewers, my regular viewers. They know where I sit politically and how I am in my day-to-day life. But right now, if you are not prepared for the very near future, whether it be 6 days from now for the inauguration, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, if you're not prepared today, well, it's too late. It is too late to start getting prepared for 6 days from now. It is too late to become prepared for 3 weeks from now. Now that's a hard pill to swallow. Hard pill to swallow. Because now what you have to do is sit on your hands and wait to see if something's gonna happen or not. If you're not prepared right now, like, put your hands underneath your pockets, underneath your butt, and just wait for it to happen. Because last year, ammunition, impossible to find. Firearms, I've bought 4 firearms within the last year. I already had ammunition for those firearms, but for a new firearm owner, buying ammunition for those new firearms, I know you want to be a firearm owner. I know you want to learn self-defense. I know you want to train. But there's been a lot of people within the last, 4 years during Trump's presidency when, in all honesty, the first 3 years were great for the firearm community, 2019, 2018. If you weren't preparing by then for what we're experiencing now and going to experience, it's too late. Now, the best way I can bring this up is, I live in Kansas. Now, I have always been prepared for snowstorms, for winter storms. I have a generator. I have a shovel. I don't need a snowblower. I've got a tractor. But what happens? Well, stores are opportunists. They will take advantage of the common man because they are unprepared. Now, like I said, I don't need a snowblower in Kansas. I don't always need a generator. But what happens when there's a snowstorm? There could be 5-6 inches of snow on the ground. And what happens with all local stores? They pull out all their snow blowers, they pull out all their generators, they pull out all their shovels, all their rock salt, tire chains, and they want to sell you the product in the middle of the storm. When you need it most. But for me, I would have to load up my vehicle, go to town, risking going off the road to buy some tire chains, to buy a generator, to buy a snowblower, to buy a shovel, to buy some rock salt. Why wouldn't I have that before the storm? The storm is here, guys. The storm is here. So, if you want to go out and buy some firearms, sure, buy some more firearms. Buy some ammunition if you can find it. Don't overpay for it. Inevitably, you will. But the most important part right now is, if you don't have a way to defend yourself, is to prepare yourself with a plan. With some food, some fuel, and a way out. That's part of the plan. I know that's kind of hard for a new guy. But go to the store. And you may be going to the store and buying your normal rations, your normal amount of food. But buy enough for the next week. Because I talked about this locally before, where I live, we're a pretty rural community. And we're self-reliant on the transportation system. For semis to get in to stock the shelves, they need to be able to transport that stuff. Well, there's always an increased cost on the baseline for pulling trucks to my rural community in the middle of nowhere. What's going to happen when food is becoming more scarce or fuel is becoming thinner and thinner to find and get is the price is going to go up. So preparing now for what you can prepare for without overpaying and overbuying is important. Now I literally just said don't overbuy. There's a limit to that. There's a point where it's reasonable to overpurchase versus having extra. And you buy 1 gallon of milk for a week. Okay, that's reasonable. Buy some non-perishables that you can tie in to your daily or your weekly food. This is a big reason why I'm a hunter. I eat venison, I eat deer. I usually make jerky out of it, but I also have a lot of it made into sausage and burger. But I don't eat that all the time. I still eat beef. I still eat chicken. I still eat pork, which I am reliant on the local grocery store because I don't have that to be able to provide for myself from my own farm, which my homestead is not rolling yet. And so I'm still semi-reliant, or actually kind of 100% reliant on the local grocery store because I don't have vegetables in the ground. I don't have a greenhouse built yet. So I'm trying to prepare before that storm keeps brewing. Because it's brewing, it just hadn't kicked off yet. But there's a lot of political things going on, and it's important to stay informed. Important to keep up and realize that the future is a little hairy. And I apologize for rambling. We're going on 12 minutes here, but it's just part of it. A lot of people, it's surprising how many people don't have a plan. How many people don't have a simple bug out bag, which that's another topic altogether. You need to get out of your local community. You live in an urban place or a suburban place. You need to get out to friends and family, 100 miles out of town in the country in the middle of nowhere, and you don't have a bag with the essentials. You don't have the fuel to be able to get there because now you live in an urban community and the gas stations are empty or full on lines, and they're saying you can only get 5-6 gallons at a time. It's kind of a dystopia, but it's not impossible. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and toss that video in from this morning with the geese. It's kind of a cool video. You guys keep calm and carry on. Stay safe, be prepared, and I'll see you later on the next video. Well guys, I thought I would just give you a little hint of the winds we get here. Look at this little flock of geese. They are doing everything they can. They were just down on the ground in the field because the winds are just so extreme where I live right now. If you look right there, it's a giant dust cloud. We had winds last night sustaining in the 30s directly from the west with gusts upwards to 55 to 60 mile an hour. And warnings that they can get up to 75 mile an hour fairly easily, but that's all my weather station read was 75 mile an hour or 65 mile an hour.